Hey, good morning. So got the version 11 of FSD. Was able to install it yesterday. Had a couple drives with it. Pretty interesting. I haven't been on the highway with it so far. It's all been street driving, and this route going back is all going to be street driving. But it has been there has been some notable differences for sure. It's I think I've read it on Twitter, so I don't know if that influencing my perception of it, but definitely feel a lot more smoothness in its That's weird. Okay, strange. All right, so I've got it engaged now. So let the car do its driving here on version 11, while we while I take the time to do chat about the stuff I want to chat about. So still takes that turn a little bit sharply. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, so far the things I've noticed off the very top with the initial couple drives is that it does have a lot more of a smooth um, transition from start to stop, from making turns to changing lanes. It's a lot more gradual and comfortable. Also, just on the drive today, noticing that it's at ease making transitions from one lane to the other, especially in traffic. Many times, it would get into the other lane, even if there's a car with just a little bit of spacing. It would find space in between the car, where it would be more of a normal type of scenario if a human was driving. Oh, that guy's moving. Um, which in the past, like if there was even a chance of a car being near you in that left lane, most times, like at least 8 out of 10 times, it would wait to get a clear path. And here it was just you know seamlessly transitioning through the lanes in and out with traffic around it. So that was really cool to see. Um, Oh, and then another thing that was kind of interesting. I don't know if it's just happened to be, but getting in a two-lane turn lane. So we got a left-hand turn, and there's two lanes for turning left at a light. It usually just always defaults into the first lane, the far right lane. This time it was going, and I don't know if it looked at the differences between the two lanes as far as like distance to the light, and it went to the shorter line off to the left. So that was nice to see because I was about to disengage and move it over there, but it did it on its own. So that was a nice surprise. Visualization also, in general, just looks a little bit more crisp. Definition of the vehicles, their tail lights, um, pedestrians and cyclists on the road. A lot of detail seems a little bit crisper and more encompassing. Super nice to see. Nice. So far, so good. We've been driving, no disengagements as we head towards our first major intersection with a right hand uh, turn at a stoplight. See here, like in the visualization, identifies the car's tail lights are red, um, and we just gradually slowed to a stop. Even on the visualization, it shows you the line of where the car is aiming to get to in order to come to a stop, which is nice to see. It gives you a little bit more information about the car's assessment and intentions. There we go. Good opportunity to see that left-hand turn, change lanes from right to left, and there was a car not too far behind. It wouldn't be in between this white car behind me, the Toyota Camry, white Toyota Camry or Corolla, and then this red Toyota Camry in front. So in between the two Toyotas. Okay, so here's trying to make a decision. We got two right-hand turn lanes, a little jerky there, and it needs to make a right-hand lane to get on San Juan Boulevard. And then the left lane here is a straight or left turn. So it came to a decision. It's going to stay here so far. That bus turned into a semi. Kind of goes back and forth. Yeah, but otherwise here in Jacksonville, we got overcast weather again. This week seems like it's just going to be a bit cloudy and overcast, maybe some rain later in the week. So I might have an opportunity to drive it around in a little bit more inclement weather, some rain possibly, darker skies, but pretty pleasant outside, moderate. All right, here we go. We're starting to get some movement. See how the decision process evolves. There you go. See the line keeps changing where it's going to stop. Still sees that bus as a semi. Oh, it changed back to a bus. And then it is a green light, so it should just go ahead and go. And it's staying in its lane. Oof, I felt a little bit keeping an eye on that. So definitely, I mean, when you're using FSD, well warranted and worth being diligent, staying alert, especially with new releases. You want to kind of get a feel for how it's behaving, and typically there's always like a little bit of a gradual growth. Growth that happens at the early stages of the new releases as it settles in some ways. I don't know how to explain it other than there's a bit of adoption and adapting to the new release into your environment. There we go. We got an individual walking down the sidewalk. It's identified. And still sees the bus as a bus, which is good. Wonder what flips it to a semi, what characteristics makes it change its visualization accordingly. All right, for the rest of this, it should be pretty smooth going. It's all just like basic stoplights and straight path forward on this three-lane road. Yeah. Hope the rain holds off a little bit. Today I've got some work to do. I need to get some kind of like administrative stuff out of the way, so stop and do some emails. But then trying to get back outside to work on preparing the exterior for pressure washing that's supposed to happen tomorrow if the rain holds off. Otherwise, it will be Friday, which I kind of prefer in some ways that it gets pushed to Friday. Kind of mistimed things where I had some tree trimming done, and so I've got the curb kind of filled with some tree trimming that needs to be picked up, and that's not going to get picked up. Actually, when does that get picked up? I think that gets picked up on Fridays. So ideally, it can maybe see the pressure washing happen on Friday instead of Wednesday. But in the meantime, I need to finish like getting the exterior cleaned up and ready for the pressure washing, so they have full access to all the areas of the home, the driveway, and the carports. I'll be working on that this afternoon or this today. I have been one thing I was noticing on as I follow Twitter is the changes in the Twitter application, and it looks like a continuing evolution of the check marks. The verification on Twitter is proceeding, coming up with this new change on April 15th that your recommendations and other factors around who gets promoted or who can vote on surveys. Oh, this car is really close. Yeah, so is getting tightened up, so only those that pay for the subscription are going to be able to have that functionality or that level of participation on the platform. I think there's been some counter opinions to that change, indicating that they think that's going to be a negative effect on the overall platform, regardless of the positive benefits of having verification weed out a lot of the spam and the bots that either are malicious or malignant, whatever the case is, that inflate or misrepresent the overall sentiment and opinion and information that's shared on Twitter. Um, that kind of balance that everyone wants to have, but Elon's really very much in Twitter as the organization is focused on the elimination of these bots and trying to very much have the platform be representative of actual individuals that exist and are presenting their personal opinions and ideas on the platform, and participating from a place of genuine truth. But I guess the one thing I was thinking about today, at first I had that same opinion. I feel like taking it to that degree of stringency around the verification, it does limit in a few ways. Obviously, the fee, while it seems reasonable here in the States and many of the first world countries where economics that fee economically is balanced, but a lot of other places around the world, being a global application, that the fee seems a bit unreasonable. And it seems like, at least in a previous tweet that Elon made, that they're going to have some parity to that. So there will be some adjustments of the fee based on location. But outside of that part, it just seems that having it required does eliminate a lot of just general input and individualism from people that just don't have the subscription. So I guess we'll see. But the thought I did have, though, like after reading that and agreeing to some of those points and counterpoints, is that it's an iterative process. This isn't like this will happen and there's no way of changing it. This will happen. It's on this path to happen by April 15th, and then you have information. You'll see what happens. Does the platform shrink? Does it become more restrictive? Does the point of views just start to consolidate or align? Or does it maintain its diversity and its breadth of information as well as opinion and input, just as it has in the past, while becoming more more honest, or what's the word I'm looking for? It becoming more truthful, in essence, right? Because you have real individuals, verified individuals in the platform being elevated, and any kind of nefarious or malignant bot, or basically non truthful information is weeded out. So there's going to be some opportunity for further iteration, further changes. So to get overly upset one way or the other seems premature, right? There is an issue. There seems like to be a solution that is being taken. If that solution becomes, new data will be presented after that solution is implemented, and then there'll be the opportunity for further change. So I think the iterative process is just kind of being lost in this conversation, and something that definitely, as I was thinking about it, would like to add myself. I'm not a checkmark subscriber at this point. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm not sure. But I think I'm not so upset or bothered by the fact that they're taking this path, because I know it's something that's going to continue to iterate. It's there you go. That was actually really nice. The car did pull out in what seemed like an unsafe situation, pulling out prematurely, but the car identified the vehicle in the intersection and came to a slow and controlled stop. Not even a stop, just to slow down enough to give the car a chance to go through. In the past, man, you would just come to a complete brake, emergency type braking situation, which would be super awkward and a bit unsettling for the driver, in the car, or passengers in the car. So that's what I was talking about as far as like the overall general smoothness of the vehicle. And a lot of it is, I guess, being attributed to the version 11. One of the big changes is the neural networks being further migrated, or almost completely migrated, to seamlessly use all cameras as a point of view instead of a single camera at a time. So the almost 360 view of the world that that the system's using to make decisions is having a pretty um, significant impact in its operation and ability to simulate a more natural driving experience. So well, that was a cool experience right there. That was good. Nice example. Yeah, so far so good. Drive's been great. No disengagements from the start of our initial uh, FSD journey here on this short drive. All on city streets, so nothing to see on the highway yet, which will be fun to check out with visualization. For good feedback so far on that as well. Um, there was a couple things yesterday when I was driving. I noticed like it didn't get off the turn I needed and missed the turn I was trying to make. Even though it was trying to get there, it just waited too long, and then by the time it was needing to make the turn, it was going too fast, and not there wasn't enough room to safely get into the space without hard braking, which I had to disengage. I did hard brake and got into the lane effectively, taking over myself. But other than that, a lot of good things. Actually, this morning, the other thing that was really good to see is I have a lot of um, roundabouts that I encounter along the way, on a daily basis. And before, those roundabouts it would never work. I would always have to disengage or have to just like grin and bear this like choppy getting in and getting out, typically with no traffic around, in order to get around the roundabout. This time, with a little bit moderate traffic, was able to enter the roundabout, get around the roundabout, and exit properly without much delay, like not a amount of delay that required you to feel uncomfortable or have to take over, and getting not having to jerk or stop or yield unnecessarily to other vehicles that are starting to show at the different access points on the roundabout before it made its way around and out. So that was really cool to see. I like to see that with more scenarios, but really good first experience and promising future outcomes of that scenario. Anyways. I do wonder, like, how many people that have recently bought Teslas are opting to get the FSD package, and how many, like, in this area have it. Just kind of curious. I mean, there's definitely a lot more Teslas around, and just wondering, like, how many are on that system. Yeah, one thing I was considering doing is I did add myself to Uber Drive as like a driver, and curious to kind of like take it end to end on a kind of like a uh, simulation of a robotaxi scenario. I've seen someone else doing that recently, and I thought I'd give that a shot here in Jacksonville, picking somebody up and dropping them off fully on FSD. So that way, kind of expands my typical driving routes. You know, anyone that drives is usually like 80% of their driving is the same drive back and forth. So um, doing that would just kind of expose and see other experiences that wouldn't happen on a regular basis or as readily. Um, and it kind of is good to interact with other people as far as exposing yourself to other experience, or just kind of getting their point of view as well as their feedback on how they feel in the car when it's in, whether they know it or not, on FSD engaged while they're taking the route, taking their drive, to see if it's as comfortable as it seems like to me. Because the one thing I do know is that, like, when my wife's in the car, she's a bit more apprehensive, and little things will that I don't notice readily because maybe I've been doing it too much or on it too long, that catches her in a position of feeling uncomfortable. Um, so and you know, so just seeing if that's just her and her kind of disposition and frame of mind, or is it generally other people have those same kind of experiences where what feels fine to me, and I feel a level of trust that I've built with the car and FSD engaged that other people may not initially feel because they don't have those number of cycles with it. All right, so now we're going through a little bit more of a residential area, a little town square, which is always good because not everything's as well defined. Here we have a yield sign, no cars there, so it should just go ahead. Kind of wait a little bit longer than maybe need to begin. Oh. There's one of the scenarios where I think, like, initial run adapting, it is a little clunky in scenarios like this. But there we go, kind of force his way through that. And see, that's what I'm talking about, where it's not so well defined. Sometimes it get tricked. Before it would get tricked up with the parking spaces, veer off into the area for parking instead of staying in its lane. And here we have a roundabout. Sees the clearing, and there you go. So see, there was some vehicles, it just wasn't as present or available to us, but it moved through it. And in the past, it would just sit there, thinking, unable to make that move. So that seems like a really good sign. And here we go, getting close to the end. No disengagements, end to end. Car is about to complete a successful trip, 100% without intervention. Yeah, look at that. That roundabout, it didn't even hesitate. Wow. Okay. Just went ahead. And that was pretty good. Now we got some trash cans, got a car parked out almost in the middle of the road here. And we're done. All right. Thanks for watching. Love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about our discussions and topics, and catch you later. Bye.